Welcome back to Sports Times. I'm your host, Daniel Raza, and in the studio with me today, Henry James, and also Tanvir Raza, the host of the Friday Drive Time show. And now it is time, in fact, for our Premier League review. We're going to be doing that for the next half hour. We'll keep you updated as well, by the way, on the cricket.
Yeah.
And the F1.
Definitely. We'll be doing our team of the seasons, and if Dan wants to, I'll tell you my game of the season, which might not be too hard to pick, you know.
I wonder which one that is.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but no, we'll be doing things, won't we?
There's quite a lot of nil-nils this season, that's one thing.
Yeah, there has been.
Wasn't there like a record amount or something?
Yeah, there's a record amount of nil-nil draws for the Premier League this season. That's mainly thanks to teams such as Norwich and QPR. And we're glad to see the back of QPR for that reason alone.
Well, you're glad to see the back of QPR.
Yeah.
I think QPR have been entertaining to watch.
Have they? Really?
Because okay, let me put it this way.
I think their bench has been more interesting.
I suppose we're starting from the bottom up here, right? But at the start of the season, for the first half of the season, every single QPR game, you could be watching in anticipation to see if they'd win their first match.
In fact, was I not? I was always backing them to win.
Yeah. Well, we were waiting for ages to see if they'd win a match, and they eventually did. I mean, it wasn't the biggest climax, but they did it.
No, yeah, but
winning one match sadly isn't enough to stay in the Premiership.
I just think the football they were playing was awful. And personally, I think watching their bench, watching Harry Redknapp, Mark Hughes' faces at times were more interesting than the actual football that was going on the pitch. And Adil Tarat's attempts at skills, which always failed. I just think that I'm glad to see QPR go down. I think Reading they were always going down. They didn't have the squad. But Wigan, now they're gone. I think they'll be back up next year. I really do. I mean, many people are saying they don't have the resource. I think they will be back.
Will that depend on whether Senor Martinez is there or not?
Yeah.
If they end up getting, a terrible manager. I won't say terrible, or say poor, or maybe somebody lackluster without any charisma. I can't see Wigan going straight back up. I think with the infrastructure they've got there, they should be all right.
It's a very hard league to get out of. I know that's a thing that's said all the time.
Look at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You've got the relegated teams, and you've got all the teams there that had a fighting chance of getting promoted. Then you've got the teams that got into the playoffs and didn't make it. So it will be very, very tough. It's not a given that a relegated team comes straight back up. And if you look at the likes of, shall we say, Swansea, Norwich, you name but two teams who've got promoted, and they have actually managed to stay up and give a good account of themselves. I think that indicates the quality within the Championship, and it's not a given. And if Martinez does move on, and he's been mentioned a lot for the Everton job, and another manager comes in and he doesn't achieve promotion, then he's going to be criticised a lot, and it's going to be very, very tough for him. But it doesn't necessarily follow that, with Mr. Martinez at the helm, that Wigan will get promoted either. I think it's going to be very, very tough.
I mean, we are talking about all these managers. Do you know who the second longest reigning manager is currently, Dan, in the Premier League?
It was Pulis.
Until the 1st of July?
Yeah, it was Pulis.
Oh, Pulis. Okay.
It was Pulis.
But who is it now? Do you want to have a guess? Because we know Wenger's number one, don't we?
Wow.
Do you want me to tell you?
Jason McLeish.
To save you. Yeah, Alex McLeish. Well...
No. Currently, you're talking about...
Yeah, current managers.
Currently...
Arsene.
No,
it's not.
He's a French friend of Arsene. He is the man you always call... Pardew.
Alain
Pardew. Yes.
Gosh, is he the second longest reigning?
2.5 years he's been at Newcastle, and he's the second longest reigning Premier League manager.
We've still got another 7 years of him.
Well, when you think about it, Chelsea chop and change, and they seem to have 6 months here and 6 months there, and we had that little joke by Alex McLeish on the TV last week when he was asked what his plans were for the future, and he said, I suppose wouldn't mind the Chelsea job for 6 months.
yeah, exactly. I say, who wants to go to the Chelsea job? And I can only think of one man who'd want to be going to the Chelsea job, and that guy for me is Jose Mourinho.
Well, if a manager goes to the Chelsea job and he goes on a big contract and then Chelsea decide to get rid of him after 6 months...
you got plenty of compensation.
I mean, if you look at Newcastle, I mean, they survived relegation, but when they gave Alan Pardew a long-term contract, I think a 7-year contract or something, must be coincidence, but their performances did drop off from that point.
Yeah, they did. And, Newcastle United should be performing a lot better than they had been this season. And 16th place for them, really, is underperforming. Now, let's quickly... and I just want to just mention Reading before we move up the table just a little bit. I think Reading, for me, are the team from the three who have gone down. Reading, for me, are the team who are going to be suffering the most because I can't see them getting straight back up. I honestly can't.
No. I think they're more adapted to the Championship. Their players, they're more Championship style players. They'll know the Championship because they'll have been in the Championship last season. So I just think Reading, they'll be more adapted to it. But as far as quality goes, the other two teams, yes, they have the quality.
See, the thing is...
Reading and their players and their manager, yes.
Yes, but the thing is, there's teams in the Championship now, and who, really... In fact, let me quickly mention these two, for example. Palace and Watford, the team who doesn't win. Well, yeah, exactly, Brighton as well. All the teams who made it into the playoffs... I wouldn't
fancy any relegated team, to come straight back up.
Yeah, no, you can't. Because they're going straight in there with the league, with a load of other players and teams there who are going to be saying, well, welcome to the Championship. It's not going to be an easy ride. Because look what happened to Wolverhampton Wanderers. They got relegated to League One, and now they're going to be playing their derbies with Walsall.
Well, I think...
Well, they've done that before, actually.
Different...
and so have, to be fair, Birmingham City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
not... Well, actually...
Villa
as well?
Yeah.
No. Villa, you're going back to...
a long time ago.
Early
Yeah,
70s, but we're not too distant past for Wolves and also Birmingham City.
Yeah.
So, Dan, if you're going to have to put, your neck on the line here, 2 teams to go down next year, and this is considering who's going to win the playoff final tomorrow. Who are your 3 teams going down next year?
I'll tell you what, the winner of the playoffs isn't going down. I don't think the winner of the playoffs will go down. Cardiff got promoted and Hull got promoted, didn't they? I'm going to go with Hull.
Yeah.
I can't see Hull staying up, and I know Brucey's a good manager, and he may well keep him up. I gotta, just stick my neck out there for a second. But I reckon Hull, perhaps. And then I'm also looking here and thinking Norwich, Fulham, and I'm just going to do this because I always like winding up my baggies friends, and West Brom.
All right. I won't agree with you necessarily regarding Hull. Hull have come up automatically, right? Steve Bruce has Premiership experience. Unlike previously, Hull were promoted. They didn't have a Premiership experience. They might struggle, and they might be in the frame for relegation. But when you start looking at this year, the teams in the Premiership that actually... it was a close shave. I mean, Aston Villa were 5 points ahead of Wigan at the end.
Yeah.
But no way, but it wasn't until the game before that they felt safe. So no way was it a comfortable margin.
No,
so you got that, it could be tough for Aston Villa next season, especially if they continue playing how they... if their defence doesn't improve and if they lose Benteke, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in the transfer gossip section.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do come on to teams like Sunderland, Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle players, they don't know, I think, what it's like to play for Newcastle.
Yeah.
They don't have that same affinity with the fans, and they don't know what, Geordie pride's about. And there are ones, in Newcastle, there isn't any other team but Newcastle. And like on this patch, we've got Birmingham City, Aston Villa, people, being a Geordie is very important in the club. Being an adopted Geordie is also important. The likes of Kevin Keegan has shown. And then you talk about Norwich, you're right. And I think West Bromwich Albion, I mean, the way they started to come down, lose a lot of matches, but then...
But they don't have Lukaku next season.
No, but, if you look at Aston Villa, how their season got bad, they have the same thing, that it kind of drops over a number of seasons. But what I will say is the way West Bromwich Albion finished off their season in that 5-5 draw with Manchester United, if they show that kind of form next season, well, I don't think they're going to be under any danger of relegation.
No, but I think that was more the occasion speaking, honestly.
I've been talking to some Baggy fans recently, and I asked them, who's your best player? And one of them said, Lukaku.
He's not your player.
He's Chelsea's player.
Yeah.
But I think West Brom, if they didn't have Lukaku, they would have had 38 points. And they would have been 2 points off relegation. So, in my mind, the 3 teams going down next year, as it stands, playoff winner, Hull City, West Bromwich Albion. They're my 3 to go down next year.
Playoff winner, Hull City and West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah, I mean, where the logic of the playoff winner is that if you think about a team, that wins the playoffs, is often, it's not the one that finishes 3rd or 4th, is it? Sometimes it's the one that's finished 6th.
Yeah.
And so what that indicates is they were, the table never lies, they were the 6th best team in the Championship. Now they're going to play in the Premiership, then obviously they will struggle.
Yeah, I can't see either one of those sides. Especially, don't forget, Palace, they'll lose Wilfried Zaha if they go down.
Well,
Zaha, right? He hasn't been in top form for a long time anyway. And I think Palace will be absolutely fine with that.
Did you not see him against Brighton?
No, he was great. He was great against Brighton.
Single-handedly dismantled.
What Henry's trying to say is they aren't going to have a great player in the team.
I'd disagree. They've got Yannick Balaji. I think he's a great player. They've got a lot of good young players
to hold it in the Premiership. Yeah, they're clearly going to be at risk.
Yeah,
they'll be at risk, but I think Palace, with the youth structure they've got there, I think they'll definitely be in with a shout. And don't forget, they're a London side as well, and that always helps.
Well, in the history of the Premiership, Palace have played in the Premiership.
Yeah,
and when they've got promoted, they've got relegated. So they've got a record for it. And if a team that's 6th in the Championship, it's going to be a problem for it to hold its own in the in the Premiership. If a team's run away with the Championship, then they've got a chance. Or then it also depends on what they do in close season, who the manager is, what signings they make. So in some respects, it's premature of us to really be sort of discussing this.
Right, I'm going to put some form teams out there, and I know it is premature, and we'll continue talking about some of the other sides. And first of all, I'm just going to quickly make a point again about West Bromwich Albion. I know I'm always joking a little bit and winding up my Baggies teammates, but there's going to be Baggies fans listening right here thinking, hang on a second, we finished 8th place. Why are we even being thought of about relegation next season? And I think West Bromwich Albion, they have got some good players, and Malumbu's an awesome player. Claudio Jacob, I believe, is an Argentinian international, in fact, and they've got some good players in that side. And you're also looking at players like Shane Long, you're looking at players like Graham Dorrans, and they'll be weeding out some of the guys like Odin Wingy. They will be signing some good players. But let's have a look at this form table. And one of the teams that I have mentioned is Fulham. They're 19th in the form table from the last 6 games, right? I know they won on the last game of the season, and they did brilliantly on the last game of the season. But other than that, 5 defeats.
They'll make some signings.
5 defeats.
Fulham will make some signings.
I've got some interesting ones as well that we'll be mentioning in a bit.
Okay.
But Fulham, I don't care what anybody says, 5 defeats in 6. And considering those 5 defeats were basically in a row.
Well,
the last 6 games.
Well, now they've won a game, so they'll be on their summer holidays, happy that they've won a game. But I just think Fulham, they signed Berbatov. They'll make another shrewd signing
but you have to
of
look
his nature.
But you have to look, not after 5 in a row, look in the last 10, 12 games.
Yeah.
How they've gone. And it just has been a kind of downward spiral. And it's been disappointing because, Martin Jol is a fine manager. And he's not been able to lift them to a level of performance. And I think at another club, his position, may have been in jeopardy.
It may well have been. And it's the fact that it's Fulham, and he's pretty much kept them up, which is fair enough, I suppose.
I don't know, I kept them up. I think they were doing quite well, weren't they? And he's just...
Up until a point.
Up to a point, and then they just slipped and slipped. I think if you'd have looked at it at the turn of the year, don't you think, Henry, Fulham wouldn't even been talked as candidates for relegation?
Well, I don't think they were at any stage.
They weren't. And
in the latter weeks,
because
it was a possibility.
they weren't even considered for relegation in the latter weeks of the season. It's just the fact that their form was so terrible, and they're lucky that they did so well earlier on in the season. Because if the season was decided from the last 6 games, they'd have gone down.
Well, yeah, but I think most of the teams, they'll go away, they'll recuperate, and they'll be back next year. And I think it'll be a lot different next season.
How about Norwich?
No. They've already made a signing I've heard of, and also they did beat that's his name. I can't repeat that because I can't say it.
Van Wolfswinkel.
Yeah, you heard that from Dan, ladies and gentlemen. But no, I think Norwich, they beat Man City last game of the season. Okay, that was a Man City in complete disarray where no one was really playing because they had nothing to play for. But they played very well in that game, and Chris Hughton, over the last 2 games, he's got them right up for it.
He has been. And, I think Chris Hughton, we know he's a good manager.
Yeah, but he got a lot of criticism from some quarters of the Norwich fans earlier on in the season, who said that, within so many games he'd undone all the effort that Lambert had done, over a couple of years. I think Norwich will always be considered, in the equation when people are coming up with teams for relegation. And I think many a team would have beaten Man City on the last day.
Yeah, that is true.
That's true. Aston Villa and Sunderland, what do you reckon about these 2 sides?
I think it's going to be another struggle season for Aston Villa. They've clearly shown, Randy Lerner, and of course, what the manager's going to do. They've clearly shown what their aims are and how they're going to do it. It's going to be more of the same. So, they'll be trying to, weed out the high earners, and, Alan Hutton and...
spend the wages on players who deserve it.
Yeah,
basically.
And so the likes of Ireland, won't be there. And the manager has given Ireland a chance, but they won't be signing any players that command wages. I'd say they should break the bank and keep Benteke, but I think there's some players that Villa have signed that hasn't seemed to have worked out. For example, Alamadi, Bennett.
Yeah, he's been injured for most part. Yeah,
Bennett, Villar for me is still a question mark, even though he's been made captain. He has been personally culpable for some of the goals. Lehigh indications are that
he's not a signing, but
then they're going to lose him again because they don't want to offer him a new contract.
Lehigh's a player who I wouldn't say has been terrible. I'd say he hasn't.
He's always given a.
Loughton's just been too good.
So
he hasn't even had much of a chance to play because Loughton's played pretty much every single.
So, but he'll probably find somewhere in the Championship. So what Villa have to hope for is that Paul Lambert, finds out 1 or 2 gems. Like Loughton, like Benteke, that's going to improve the team. But otherwise, it'll be another struggle season.
One thing which I'm happy about is the fact that Albrighton and Delphiniso are going to be given one more season to prove themselves. Sunderland, what do we reckon about them? Di Canio's a new face in the Premier League, and we've seen him jumping about, dancing around.
Yeah, we've seen what he's done with Phil Bardsley. Haven't we?
And the FA have been a bit sort of...
I tell you what...
Sorry, the PFA have been a bit... You can't do what you want,
I can't see Di Canio lasting at Sunderland.
Really?
No, because what happens is for things to be successful, you need a happy ship. Now, one of his best players at Swindon, he had a fallout with, and that player ended up at Birmingham City, if you remember, on loan. And... the PFA have come along and they've said they've had complaints, and the PFA represented Di Canio. In fact, when he had this issue where he was in trouble for pushing over a referee. I think he was playing for Sheffield Wednesday at the time. But I think if you haven't got unity, it's going to be problems. So unless he ships out a lot of players and brings in some new players, but still, I think unproven at that level. Di Canio, he's got may have charisma and things, but he's going to have those performances on the pitches, and if he loses the dressing room, and the indications are there is a risk of that, then a manager's days become numbered.
Well,
so I still say they're at risk there, but potentially if all bodes well for Sunderland, they can be a surprise package and turn over a lot of big teams.
And what about some of the other sides who, maybe have been expecting a bit more from Liverpool, Everton, Tottenham?
I think Liverpool season's next year.
Let's look. Was that a joke?
No, because they started. Yes, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've realised.
I couldn't tell if he was being sarcastic or not.
No, I actually think because Coutinho, they did finish the season pretty well.
Awesome goal he scored last week. Coutinho,
well,
it was a pretty good goal.
I think that was pretty bad keeping.
I thought that Norwich one against Man City was quite something.
Since we're talking about Liverpool, I think it's pretty fit to quickly mention this guy who's sent in his
team of the season
from
Ishmael.
We'll
read ours very shortly.
Yeah, very shortly. He said Czech, Johnson, Jamie Carragher, Agger, Baines, Gerrard, Yaya Toure, Mata, Coutinho, Bale, and Suarez. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Liverpool players in there in a 4-2-3-1 formation.
Baines is another Merseyside player.
Yeah, Baines is an Everton player though.
Yeah, well, I think everyone's got Baines left back. I'm pretty sure.
I'll tell you what. I will say.
I haven't. I've got Joe Bennett left back.
I will say something. I will say something for Ishmael. Yeah. If you really want to add a further Merseyside influence, make David Moyes the manager.
David Moyes, yeah. We are going to put a manager in there as well. We'll read out another one as well. Kirichistu sent one in. But we got to rush past this now, right? Everton and Tottenham.
Yeah.
What do you reckon of these two sides? They got enough to push through to the top 4 next season?
It will highly depend with Everton on their manager. Tottenham, I think it will also depend if they get rid of Bale. If they can sell him for, let's say, 60 million and then get in 3 £20 million players, I think we'll see how they'll do. Like Arsenal, they got rid of their main man, bought in 3 £15 million players.
And Arsenal are going to be spending as well, big.
Exactly. So I think Tottenham, they need to sign big.
Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester City, they got those top 4 spots. What do we think about them?
I think Tottenham, if they could get 3 £20 million players, regardless of whether they sold Bale or not, they would. It's going to be tough for them. Everton, it's going to be a season of transition. No matter who comes in, it's still going to be a season of transition. So I think Everton next season, mid-table.
Right, top 4. Manchester United won the league. Awesome season for them, and they've done it again. Manchester City, they finished 2nd straight after winning the league the season before. Chelsea finishing 3rd. Arsenal finishing 4th. All of these teams are going to be big dangers next season, I reckon.
I think it's going to be those 4 in a different order.
No.
Thrown up in the air.
And I think possibly, Henry, you might not like this, but with Moyes going to Manchester United, there may be some changes there, and I think they'll be very lucky if they win the title.
You know what I say are the dark horses for next season at Arsenal?
No.
They're the dark horses.
Right, I tell you, top 3, regardless of order: Chelsea, Man City, Man U, Arsenal. They'll be happy with 4th again.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you why. In the next half hour, there's a big thing going on with Arsenal right now, and I'm gonna say who may well be moving to Arsenal, which could well win Arsenal the league. So that's going to be mentioned in the next half hour. I think next season, Arsenal, Man City, Manchester United, and Chelsea. I'd agree with what you said, in fact, and I'd say that those are the 4 teams that will be finishing there regardless of order. I can't see Liverpool getting a Champions League spot, and I can't see Tottenham getting a Champions League spot. I think
they'll be knocking on the door, though, for sure.
Yeah, they will be. But the new managers at Chelsea, Man City, and Manchester United is just going to make it amazing next season. And that's why I'm saying there's not going to be a runaway winner next season. It's going to be pretty awesome.
So, Dan, to your team of the season.
Yeah,
this is a huge. I think we do.
Okay, you go for yours first because I have a substance.
No. Right, okay. Right. This is the team that Dan doesn't even know yet.
Then we'll laugh during the break.
Right. Go for just the record, I'm playing a 4-3-1-2. Okay, as you do with Premier League football. This doesn't ever happen. De Gea in goal, obviously. Okay. You know, you can't even. I'm not even going to have a debate with Dan on that. The back 4, quality, oozed with Raphael, Ferdinand, Vertonghen. What a season he's had. Yep. And Baines on the left. You've got a midfield 3, world class again. This runs through my team, this theme of world class, unlike Dan's team. Okay, Mata, Carrick, Bale, all those 3. You take those 3, any team in the world will have any of them. And my one in the hole is Michu. What a season he's had. Why are you laughing, Dan?
Because we've heard you.
I'm sorry,
I thought you hated Swansea.
Michu has single-handedly won Swansea the League Cup. You can't not have him in the team. Strikers, do I even need to say? Van Persie and Suarez.
Okay, no, that's cool enough. I just need to quickly mention one that's been given in on Facebook, by the way. Check Raphael, Vertonghen, Williams, Baines, Bale, Carrick, Mata, Hazard, Suarez, and Van Persie. That's from Kiri Christou. Now, I've got in my team of the season, right, it's fairly similar, except I've got Guzan in goal because of the amount of saves he's made. More than any other keeper, I believe he's made 97 catches, more than any other keeper. Zabaleta, Ferdinand, Vertonghen, and Baines across the back. So apart from Raphael, who Henry picked, I've got Zabaleta in there.
Amateurish is what I say.
Carrick and Cazorla I've got in central midfield. Then I've got a three just in front of them of Van Persie, Lampard, and Gareth Bale. I was about to say Christian Bale. He's an actor. Gareth Bale. And then I've got Benteke up front because of the 19 goals he scored.
Just for the record, listeners, he does have Guzan, Benteke, and Lampard in his team this season.
Lampard scored 15 goals this season. He's been amazing. And I have got Mata on the bench, and I'll tell you who else I've got on the bench. I've got De Gea on the bench, I've got Ivanovic on the bench, Evra, Mata, Toure, Suarez, and I was going to say Michu, but in fact I've gone with Lukaku on the bench as well. So that's my team.
So listeners, if you want to realise whose team's better, you can tweet in to @SportsLounge935. If you want Dan's loser team, the team can't win, you tweet A. If you want a winners team, you want to go with the winners, you tweet B. So that's @SportsLounge935, A or B.